Oh, hello, Studio 108 community, and thanks for clicking in and joining me. I am here with Corey Woodrum. It's a podcast, so you have to say hello as well.
Hi, welcome.
That's cool too, the name. I'm like, no, we get a little verbal too, I think. But no, we're super happy to be here. We always just prattle on when we're together. We always have a lot of ideas, a lot of thoughts, a lot of share, a lot of laughs.
Yeah, I think my first question was not what we're going to talk about, but how long does this need to be? Because we'll go on for forever.
He said, I know what you said. How are we going to stop us? I'm like, yeah, how are we going to stop us? So we know our stop. We've got our breaks, and now it's just green light go. We're here to talk about yoga teacher training. This is super cool, you guys, because we are cooperating across 2 different studio communities to bring you a 200-hour yoga teacher training. I don't want to say it's unheard of. I'm sure it's happened before somewhere, but in this general area, not so much.
Yeah.
That studios really cooperate. Well, studios with different business owners.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I feel really, really blessed by this.
Yeah, I think it's a nice change in how we really share the art, the science, and the healing powers that yoga has, right?
Right. And the healing powers within the class, but the healing powers within the community.
Yeah.
Why compete?
Yeah.
There's nothing to compete about. And so what happens when we cooperate is that the benefit, it's like an upsell. The benefit of what you're getting is exponential because we've got really good staff here and you guys have really good staff there.
Yeah, I think we've got both studios are blessed with teachers that show up really authentically, that care about what they teach and how they're informed and staying up to date on what's new and what's evolving. So we've got a great group of individuals for sure.
Yeah, you get all of that. And I know even it's so crazy because logistics are logistics. And so we all have to be responsible to our 3D and our logistics. But even my thought on the way we're shifting the schedule, because for the most part, it will be weekends here in Independence and then Wednesday nights in Cuyahoga Falls. So at first I was like, will that be a problem for people? But what I'm hearing is, cool, I live closer to that place anyway. I practice up here because it's work, I live closer. So I think people are really excited about it.
Yeah, and an excitement to have an experience at a new studio with new teachers. Obviously the benefit of practicing at 2 studios for free.
I know.
Right? I think people are like, ooh,
I know.
I've got an entire new door of teachers and experiences and class types and
yeah, all available.
Yeah, I know our students are like, so what's this Kundalini thing?
I know, they want to.
And I'm like, I'm not going to tell you. You should go find out.
Oh my gosh, you guys, I taught at the Elevate Yoga Teacher Summit this weekend, and it was the same thing. It's like, okay, and this is what Kundalini is kind of about, and all the faces are like, and then after the experience and the gong bath, everyone's like following me around the rest of the afternoon with this gaze on their face. I'm like, I know, it's really magical, but there's a lot of magical going on. You guys have like super magical stuff going on at Falls too. So what do we want to talk about? We want to talk about today, I was thinking this is like business casual on being a yoga teacher. Like Corey and I just want to chit chat with each other and let you fly on the wall. Talk about like what's so good about being a yoga teacher, what's important about that experience.
Yeah, we were talking about this when we came in the room, but I spent the week with some quiet time, right? Both either in practice or just in meditation, really thinking about how I could show up authentically with that answer, right?
Yeah.
And I think the 2 things that just continue to pop into my head were both accountability and not accountability for the students, right, on my end, but the accountability that the students hold for you, right? Both in a really pragmatic approach, which is you're standing up in front of people, holding yourself and asking them to do certain things and show up in their community in a certain way. Well, then you've got to lead, right?
Yeah.
And so those days were that anger or anxiety or like whatever it is starting to push you to a place where it's not your best face,
Yeah.
right? And you're out in public, it is nice to know that there are other people that are going to see you, right? And it's a
Yeah.
nice way to just kind of come back to earth. And it's like, you know what? I know a student or a fellow teacher or somebody's going to see me at work, on my way to work, the way I drive in this community. And I want to make sure that like I can go back into class on Thursday or Friday or into teacher training if it's at that time of year. And know that I don't have to apologize for anything, right? That I was setting the right example and able to control and use some of these yogic tools for my own personal well-being.
Yeah,
right?
like taking your practice off the mat and being, I don't want to say yogic because we don't want to be a false positive,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
being well integrated in terms of who you are. Like I know, my gosh, when it might have been like in my 20s, I don't know, like or in my developmental years, probably in my 20s, there was like this disintegration where I had different groups and I was like almost like a different person in each different group. Like this group had a set of norms and I could morph into that, and this group had a set of norms. But it's like if those two worlds collided, it was like mass confusion in my psyche, you know? And we want to be like maturity means being one definition, being really well integrated and authentic in who you are.
Yeah.
So that kind of accountability in terms of I need to be my most authentic self in front of my class, and then I need to be my most authentic self when I'm at marks in line and the line's moving really slow and I'm late and it's making me sweat out my armpits. I still need to be somewhat the person I want to be and not, you know, go into default behaviors.
Yeah, your students have a fantastic way of holding a mirror up and just developing some of that self-awareness that is critical for any part of who you want to be. Right. It's going to help you at whatever those goals are for you.
Yeah. And I think like when I think of yoga teacher training, it's almost like that might be one of the spots where the psyche knows that. And there's a little bit of like, am I strong enough, brave enough, ready enough to like be in that place? Like, am I ready to really be accountable to myself about myself? Like to that depth. Yeah.
It's a big ask.
It's a big ask.
Right? Teacher training is a big ask, and I think at first you're like, I'm gonna learn chaturanga.
Yeah.
And you come out and you're like,
I'm
learning self-realization. That's a big lesson for what I paid for this.
Yeah.
That feels really good, right? I mean, you said this, I think at the beginning of our 300, right? And what you said is, I'm teaching you how to be a leader in your community, right? And that has stuck well with me. That's what resonated with me. I can still hear the inflection of your voice when you said it to us. I remember what you were wearing, where we were sitting, and to me that's powerful, right? If we truly want to make a difference in the communities and with the people and with the family units and even within our own house, if we want to make a difference in this world that we belong to, it starts with us, right? We've got to show up authentically. We need people to hold us accountable. We need to move out of our comfort zone a little bit
100%.
and just explore and learn from other cultures and diverse populations. And it looks like we have a pretty wild group of people.
Bright faces, I'll tell you that.
All excited and eager.
Wonderful. I'm so happy just to see everyone come to info session and see the excitement they're bringing forward. So yeah, you know, and there is that like, that way that we have of, I don't want to say making excuses, but it will not line up if you're not ready for this. So if it lines up, you're ready, go. Don't worry about anything. If it doesn't line up, then you know it just might not be my time. It might be
you don't need your
difficult.
crystals and your tiger iron and that. Like if it's gonna work, it's gonna work.
It's gonna work.
For sure.
Yeah, and if not, no shame, no guilt. Just kind of like wait and wait till the psyche's ready to take that lead. So
that's the best part of it is the journey of your 200.
Oh my gosh.
All the things leading you up to it, and then a couple years later, and I love that experience of, you know, you start your 200-hour teacher training and you think you know a lot about yoga, and then you finish your 200 and you're like,
All
I
my
don't know anything about yoga, right?
learned
And so you like
yoga.
teach for a while, and then you start your 300, and you're like, man, I know a lot about yoga. And you're like, I don't know anything about yoga, and that process just continues to repeat. But I think if you kind of go through life with that open mind and the willingness to learn and grow and develop, I think that's what makes good
Yeah,
communities, good leaders, good friends, good relationships, right? It's skills that will serve you everywhere.
100%. And the beauty of that is that gem, that takeaway is so impactful that I don't want to say it doesn't matter if you teach yoga or don't teach yoga, because when you take that gem out into the world, you're teaching yoga.
Yeah.
Like you're teaching yoga at the workplace by how you be.
Yeah.
You're teaching yoga on the highway by how you be.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
you're teaching yoga. You're not, and if you're like, I'm never going to stand up in front of a group of 50 people and teach a class, like whatever, it doesn't matter. Sorry, you're a yoga teacher. You're now teaching yoga all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the most profound things that I said to my class a couple of weeks ago on a Monday morning, we just finished our 6 a.m. class.
Yeah.
Right. And they're all like ready to like, dig claws in as they fly out the door and jump in their cars and fly off to work. And I was like, hey guys, just a quick second. Maybe you take some of this piece that was in your shavasana, you take it out the door, you get to work when you get to work, and like 3 or 4 people kind of chuckle, and then they're like, oh, you're serious. And I'm like, yeah, I absolutely am.
Yeah.
Why would you work this hard to get yourself into this frame of mind where you are cool, calm, collected, and you are best prepared to move through your day without allowing the fluctuations of the mind to really control you, right? And in this balanced state to like jumping right back into the craziness. It's like, take your practice off your mat, baby, right?
See if you can take, and sometimes like in my earlier years too, it was like, can I stay calm all the way to the red light? Or can I stay calm all the way? It's back to work. Can I stay calm all the way till 4:30 when I'm done? Yeah. Like the whole thing. Yeah, it's a fun game. Life's a fun game, Corey.
It certainly is.
It certainly is. Okay, you had 2 things on your list. So what else is like special to you?
Yeah, what did I say? Accountability. And I wrote it down. Where are we at? Service. Yeah. Wow, how did I forget that? That's what my life choice has been for the last 3 years. I mean, it directed my education to into yoga therapy, but I think
yeah, you guys, and just so you know, Corey has a corporate job. So like he has a 9 to 5, and then this is who you are.
Yeah.
Like, isn't it interesting? Like, who do you really work for, Corey? Even when you go into that office building in your snazzy, shiny shoes and stuff, who are you really working for? And that's the thing, is like we work for like our soul's dharmic path and purpose.
Amen.
Like no matter who we're employed by or not employed by. So yeah.
And I think that was a really hard lesson for me to learn, because for a while corporate America has a way of pulling a lot of life out of you, right? And anything that you do for a long time, right? If you're like, it'd be just nice to like quit my job and teach yoga full time, that'll suck your soul too, right? Like, let's be honest. So it's a matter of how do you show up, right? And how do you get yourself back into a realm where it's like, no, I've been called to serve here, right? In a leadership role within my community at a large multinational, and that is just as important as serving in a yoga studio, right? And so it was nice to get, I think over my education at Kripalu and during my 300 hour with you, it was a nice way to just gently look into a mirror and recognize the things that were important and that I needed to hear and see and feel. And to me, it just kept coming back to service. How can I get somebody that just wants to lose some weight, right? And yoga is nothing more than just an exercise program for them, have a meaningful experience and leave maybe with a question mark in their head of like, why is this different? To the person that needs psychosocial emotional well-being, that we can look at them in more of a therapeutic yogic sense and apply the tools of yoga to help them upregulate or downregulate. Find some grounding, to integrate the elements and Woodrum and Pranayama and Nidra and all the other things that aren't just hot power, right? Which I love hot power chunky, right?
I know you
However,
are.
however, right? Your practice develops and you find that your body needs other things. And the more you age, the more hot power is a little bit harder to do all the time.
You need a plethora of tools in your toolbox.
Yeah, you move from that like pitta
Yeah.
time of life into
Yeah.
maybe something a little bit different.
Yeah,
Right.
balanced, more rich, more varied.
Yeah,
Yeah, skill based.
yeah.
So I worked in the public schools, and that, similarly to anything else, even yoga, can suck the life out of you. I think, I tell this story in teacher training, so I imagine, Corey, you've heard it before, but there was a time when I really just wanted to quit, and quitting didn't seem to be an option. And I was catching on through my yoga practice and my meditation practice to some of these ideas. Oh man, too, I was listening to all those books through the new age and stuff. Like, so I was up to my eyeballs in the conversation. But it occurred to me that I don't work for this Board of Education or the taxpayers of this city. I work for God Incorporated. And God Incorporated was kind of like my term for it. You can put any term you want. But all of a sudden, when I got in my car in the morning, I'm like, okay, I work for God Incorporated. I'm checking in. I'm going out in the world. I'm going to see what I need to do. And there were so many circumstances that came up that I might otherwise have been kind of blinders on about the paperwork and the requirement of that job, and have missed taking an extra moment for a conversation, taking an extra breath to put a light or a perspective or an interesting comment back to someone that allowed me to serve in a much broader, richer way. And this is like we're spiraling through the same conversation of accountability, of the same conversation of service and, connection and taking your yoga off your mat. It's like, that's like the meat and potatoes of teacher training.
Yeah, that was profound for me.
Yeah.
Right? That was
Yeah.
absolutely profound for me to have that realization that like what I thought my life would look like in a service element, because I run at 100 miles an hour. So I didn't meditate on it, think about it. I'm just like, this is what I'm supposed to do, and this is what it's going to look like, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, manifest it now.
Yeah.
And then when I actually like calmed down, slowed down, and started to do the work, I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to serve here. All right. Okay. All right, let's rally the troops, and here we go. All right, right, and then you can show up, knowing that like, you are where you're supposed to be, and it might not look exactly what you thought it would, but you can either harvest the blessings there or
just repeat it somewhere else. And I mean, feeling stuck in life, that's a human.
Yeah, that's the human condition, right?
I don't want to say it's a necessity or requirement, but it's just like we all have a turn.
Yes, if you have figured that out on how to not go through that, then we have an opening on our teaching staff for
Yes.
you. Come help us.
Amen. Yeah, it's just so like how do we show up with grace in those moments instead of letting those situations really eat a bitter hole in your heart, because that's a real shame.
Yeah,
that's a real shame when that happens. Yeah. All right. I want to talk a moment about like community and lineage, because I feel like there are so many teacher training programs available that anyone who's looking for that would want to check around.
Yeah, for sure.
And consider, because there are just so many really great teachers with different lenses and different perspectives and different histories and backgrounds and experiences and practices. And so just to say, I'm just going to go to my local studio because that's where I've always been, and I'm just going to sign up. Like we want you to have a deep breath moment where you're like pull back out of it and like see across the board, because your yoga teacher training choice becomes your lineage, and your lineage becomes who you are too. And it shouldn't limit you. That's sort of the point. Like if you have a quality lineage, the whole lineage is behind your growth and your development, and behind your sovereign free will to grow and develop in the way that is going to be on path and on purpose for you. So I think that I often encourage people to look around for this very reason. Because when I hear questions like, well, how much is it? Oh, it's too expensive. It's like, okay, you could do an online course and pay less, or maybe even much less. But why don't you think about like what kind of community experience that's going to be, what kind of lineage that's going to provide you, what kind of educational opportunities, not opportunities in terms of afterwards, but within it, what kind of educational content are you going to be receiving from that program? Because I don't want to say you get what you pay for, but you're investing. And so be sure that you're getting what you want out of it, what you need out of it, what you expect out of it.
Yeah.
So Corey and I have done this before. This is our second cooperative. I've led 200 TTs for many years, but Corey came on board last year and really enhanced everything, and also supported in a way that, with my plate wouldn't have been able to happen. So invaluable, not just on a pragmatic scale, but also because he literally enhances the education with his perspective and his knowledge and his experience. So, and now I'm stuck because he's proven himself invaluable to me. But like, we have a wide breadth of knowledge and skills. And when you look at teacher training programs, honestly, you guys, they range between Girl Scout camp, kumbaya, tell your story, cry your tears, pick each other up, like from a very process-based experience to, perhaps a more like a PhD program where you're taking classes, but you don't really have interactive experiences with other people. And we kind of come in on the continuum. I wouldn't even say in the center. I think we're content rich. I think we're skill rich. But there is a great deal of face-to-face community and experiences of personal development and opportunities for growth as an individual, opportunities to be seen and to see others. So our communities tend to be really dedicated and tight.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
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 And that alignment to me is precious. And I have had at other studios in the past, people sign up for TT who aren't really aligned to me. And I feel badly because that dissonance is really hard to reach through and to scoop people in.
Yeah.
Because when you're in a place where you don't feel like things are going well for you, you tend to push back. So think about it and look and ask us. We'll put you in touch with the alumni, and think about like the community and the lineage and what you're expecting out of the program. I can promise you, you'll know your stuff, and you'll be able to stand in front of a group and teach
with confidence.
A solid template of a yoga class. And we have a template that we work with. It's the Baptiste template. And we literally go through and work with that template to create more challenging experiences for people and to create more accessible experiences for people, so that when you leave, you've got like your structure that you're standing on, and then you know how to amp that up, and you know how to modify that for folks that aren't able to meet you right where that is. So I feel like I talked the whole time on that, but I just was on a roll. So add something, can you?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think one of the biggest benefits, and we showed this, or at least it came out in spades last year, was with the diversity in education background and lineage between the master teachers that are part of this program and that students interact with, is that you're not going to be a yoga therapist. You're not going to be versed in Kundalini.
No,
However, these conversations exist, right? And I have had a number of conversations with people that finished their 200s at the same time I did, and we were just kind of comparing notes and seeing what's what and what'd you learn. And they're like, "What's Yin Yoga?
Wow.
What's restorative?"
Yeah.
They didn't know some of the traditional practices like Baptiste, and it's like, but that's the structure you learned. How do you not understand some of the history?
Yeah.
Which, like I said, it's not right, wrong, or indifferent. It's not meant to be judgmental, but there's just a broader range of skills and knowledge, and you don't need to be experts, but as long as you know they exist, then maybe we can help you find where your path is, how you're meant to serve, the lineage or the style of teaching that makes more sense to you, that you can take more of a personalized approach of who you are and how you teach, and be able to like be free to embrace that.
And
right?
have foundational knowledge underneath it, so
Yep.
that you have a justification
Yep.
for what you're doing. Yeah, really intelligent.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what exactly is your lineage?
Yeah,
Right.
sure. So I think born and raised Baptiste, right? So I had the I did not I fell into yoga through a lot of physical ailments, and was fortunate enough to have a mother who was like, "Oh, I think you should start doing yoga." I'm like, whatever. I don't know what that is. Isn't it just a stretching thing? Yeah, I learned quickly. Um, and so I started doing some yoga at home. Yoga with Adrian, right? Everybody knows who that is, or at least if you haven't, do a YouTube search, right? There's 8 million followers or something ridiculous. It's probably much more than that now. But anyways, that's kind of where I started doing some practice. Went to a studio. And then I decided, my mom signed up for teacher training.
She signed up first?
She signed up first. And so as a surprise, because I haven't always been this lovely, well-developed, settled human being. At one point in time, I used to be a little bit more of a problem child for her. And so I figured, how do I make up for the teenage years of being an a-hole? And so I thought this would be,
integrating into
yeah,
yourself.
so I figured, you know what? I'll surprise mom. I'll sign up for our 200-hour teacher training at the studio that I was going to, and just show up on the first day and surprise her. So unfortunately, I hadn't done any research on 200-hour programs. I didn't really know that that was something you should do, right? And fortunately for me, mom had done the research. So I did my 200 at Yoga Strong in Canton with Amanda Fulmer.
Yeah.
Wonderful program. And give me a really good base of discipline and knowledge that I needed to feel free to explore myself as a teacher. And then really fell in love with yin yoga. So after mom and I did our 200-hour teacher training, we both did about 100 hours of yin yoga under Paul Grilly's tutelage, background and program. So from there, did my 300 with you, which was fantastic. I had originally signed up for Kripalu, and was going to sign on the line, and was ready to go, and paid for my first 2 semesters just for my 300. And then this thing called COVID happened.
Right.
And you're like, I'm still going to do a 300. I'm like, cool, I'm in. And it was such a blessing in disguise. So mom and I did our 300-hour as well together. So it's been a wonderful journey.
Such a cool year, because that was the year we moved here.
Yeah.
So Corey,
so we got your old studio and the new one. Yeah.
Sort of driving up here.
Yeah.
And, Corey's done so much to make this place home-like. Like, there's so many things. The stickers on the floor all measured out by Corey. The curtains hanging, all the rods nice and even by Corey. Oh, there's so many cool things.
I had a grid laid out on the floor, and she's just like, "Should I move? Just don't touch anything. I know it's your studio, but I got this. You'd be OCD." Yeah. And then afterwards, I decided therapeutic yoga is kind of my calling. And so Paul has an 800-hour yoga therapy program, and I am almost finished. I'm deep in my practicum, and there is a wonderful lineage of teachers that have 20, 30, 40 years worth of teaching and knowledge, with very big name yoga leaders in the community that show up as faculty with so much dedication, so much authentic dedication. They make themselves available in and out of the classroom. I have one of the most incredible mentors through the program.
I think what Kripalu really did for me is to show me the degree of professionalism
Mhm.
the field of yoga can have.
Yeah.
Which we think, oh, they're just yoga teachers and they're just little girls running around in tight black pants. But there's actually all the way up through collegiate levels, professional, like high level
Yeah.
research that's going on of people who are supporting the professionalism of
Yes.
these technologies and
Yes,
practices.
we have PhDs, we have
100%.
MDs,
Yeah.
we have masters in research that are working with the VA to develop yoga therapy. They have recently created P codes within the VA so people can be diagnosed,
Excellent. Coded.
prescribed
Yeah.
yoga or yoga therapy, and it's picked up by insurance.
Yes.
What a fantastic way to treat PTSD and anxiety and depression and all the other merit of things that we know yoga is perfect for, right? It's what it was created for.
And it validates, like
Amen.
when
Yeah.
society can validate these practices as important for people, what that means is we get paychecks.
Yeah.
Like we have a valuable place in society
Yes.
for the service we're providing, and
we know it works, but it's nice to have clinical white papers that
no,
are
you need it. You need data.
peer reviewed and published that shows the science, that shows your control group and what the outcome studies look like, and
100%.
how we can impact people from oncology patients to PTSD, from mental and physical. I mean, it's all there. It's all waiting to be explored, right?
And your 200 hour is the first step, you guys.
Yeah.
So if this is exciting for you and you think, oh, I hesitate at my 2 hour because I don't know if it's worth the money, you'll never make that money back kind of thing. It's like, maybe that's true. Like that can be true for some people, for sure, but it doesn't have to be true. And if you have that kind of scope of vision that you can look out and you can say, no, I think I have an important role to play in my life, in my community, in serving people. There's just so much.
It's endless
There's
possibility.
so much. Yeah.
Do you want to be a researcher and be published?
100%.
Do you want to work with the VA and help vets find care and stability?
Do you want private clients in your home? You can do things for people in your community that need help.
Yeah.
My background is also Baptiste Power. I did my 200 with Tammy Schneider at Cleveland Yoga, and I practiced there for, I think, like 10 years before I took teacher training. And my first classes were on a VHS tape in my living room. Kathy Smith and like Brian Kess when he had the long hair, and Barron had his first tape out, his first Power Yoga VHS tape about the same time. And Tammy and Barron Baptiste are actually friends, and she travels the world like supporting his trainings and stuff. So that's been really exciting to look back and realize 97 to 2001 to 2010, it's like that's the source and the start of this style of yoga in the West and in our community here in Northeastern Ohio. So that makes me old. And then,
I was like doing the math, I'm like,
a long time ago, that makes me old.
high school.
Right, exactly. And then I did my 500 hour teacher training with Jen Langsdale in Mentor. She had a studio called Awaken Yoga. She is trained through Shiva Ray, and so her style of vinyasa was really exciting to me because it felt like there was so much creativity and freedom in that. And after I did my 500 with her, I took a couple week-long, maybe 3 week-long journeys to Kripalu to study with Shiva Ray herself. So I really learned so much about Bob and creating felt sense in the body and creating embodiment and creating experiences through the practice that let you have something meaningful kind of take place in the psyche. What else did I do? Thai yoga massage training, and yoga for trauma-informed yoga with the folks from the Trauma Center in Massachusetts. So that was another really exciting conversation because of that it was so data-based and it was so research-based, and the credibility is incredible. And I haven't, just because of all the TTs and the other things that I do, Elevate, like all of that, switched credentialing and gone into a yoga therapy space, which is why I'm so excited that Corey does, because I feel like that's the future and we all have our role to play in that. But when you have a conversation with someone, their whole lineage is shared to you, and Yeah,
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 those are things that, I think are wildly important, because when you need to crash back on
right,
your teachers, on your support system,
right. They got you.
yeah, we're here.
Your whole breadth of what you would like to do is contained in them, and so they've got you. And then I did 220 hours for Kundalini yoga teacher training. I did that at Rama in LA. And you know how much I love my
I
teachers.
certainly do.
Oh my God, I love my teachers so much at Rama. I know. So it's just nice that the practices are so rich that you can grow so far. Yeah. This is how we stop.
Feels like it, yeah.
Oh my gosh, you guys, we did it. It's still
We self-regulated. Look at us learning.
Okay, so what do we want you to know? 200-hour teacher training starts September 6th.
Yep.
And there is all kinds of information on the website, so that link is below for you. There is a very short, informal application with a request just for basic information and some thoughts from you. Why do you want to teach yoga? What would be interesting? Do you see anything limiting you? Like very basic application, an application fee. And then we start on September 6th as an early bird price for paid in full by September 1st.
Yeah.
And then there are some options for payment plans. You would be a yoga teacher by December 10th. I mean, before Christmas.
Crazy.
That is so insane.
That's
So
Christmas
what that
present to
says is,
yourself, right?
yes, Christmas present. What that says is, you know, you're jumping in with 2 feet. It's going to be intense.
Yeah.
But what that means is you're immersed and you're
Yeah.
going to be held and contained, and you're going to share and receive.
Yeah.
And what a blessing to be able
Yeah.
to be a part
Yeah,
of this
you're gonna
process
live and
for
breathe
people.
the information and be able to really like set it in stone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah. And then what you do with it is, you know, that's what
And
we're waiting to
responsibility.
see.
Yeah.
That's
We're
what
excited
waiting
to see. Yeah. Yeah.
That'll be cool.
Seeing 200s from last year, just show up in such meaningful and authentic ways, and
It's really
I felt blessed to have them right last year, and I know we're gonna have that same joy and experience this year too.
Yeah, nothing better than just being a part of a group all interested in personal empowerment.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Well, thank
Namaste,
you.
you guys. Thanks for following.
Yeah, thank
Do
you.
the like, click, comment, all that kind of stuff. Do that for it. It really supports us, keeps us going.